Hey everyone, I'm Christy Amundsen with Impact Physical Medicine, and you may be wondering why I am sitting staring at the wall. But I thought today that I would go over one of the questions that I get asked quite frequently as a physical therapist is for some of my patients who have pain with prolonged sitting. They are very concerned when they have vacations coming up and are going to be stuck kind of restricted on a plane or to a car for a long period of time, and they're not going to be able to get up and move around much. So I'm going to go over 3 quick, easy things that you can do on the plane if you're someone that has trouble with prolonged sitting that can help mitigate some of those symptoms. So this is my simulated plane. I'm in the most coveted middle seat. So some of the reason for pain with prolonged sitting is because you don't have as much blood flow to your joints and your muscles, and therefore they tend to get stiff. So it's the similar thing that happens at night when you sleep. Your heart rate drops, your muscles and your joints aren't demanding as much. Therefore, when we wake up in the morning, oftentimes we are very stiff and sore, sometimes because of that lack of blood flow until you kind of get going. In any event, moving around is actually what's getting that blood flow to increase to those joints and muscles. So the same thing goes when you're riding in a plane or a car and you're stuck in one spot and you can't really move very much. The biggest kind of theme that we're going to be talking about is trying to keep that blood flow at least somewhat up to those muscles and joints so that you can decrease some of that stiffness. So number one, before we get into the exercises, I just wanted to say I always talk about you almost always have to be to the airport early, and if you have a long flight ahead of you, try not to be sitting waiting for, at the gate, waiting for your plane to board. And then also, don't be too anxious to board. It doesn't do you any good to, add another 45 minutes to your sitting time because you're the first one on the plane unless it's absolutely necessary that you be. I don't recommend lugging your luggage everywhere around as you move around. So if you can find a spot, put your stuff down, even if it just means that you're getting up and down from the chair, or you're kind of pacing back and forth, shifting your weight side to side, taking small steps to the side or front or backward. Anything that's going to increase or maintain that blood flow a little bit is going to help you out. The first exercise I'm going to show you is an ab crunch sitting up. What you would do is, there's a couple different ways to do this. You could reach forward with your arms. When I reach forward with my arms, I'm going to kind of crunch my abs, push my back into the chair, so I sort of make like a C shape with my spine as I reach forward. And as I do that, I'm going to hold it and breathe. And what I don't want is to go back and forth, back and forth. You just want to hold it there as you breathe and then relax. So I could do that. I could push, if there's nobody in front of me, I could push on that seat a little bit for some resistance, or I could take my forearms and put them on my thighs and push down into my thighs for some resistance. When I do this, it's a nice stretch for my back as I'm working my abs. What I don't want is when I breathe in to go like this. If I do that, I'm lifting my shoulders toward my ears, and I'm actually lifting my elbows off of my thighs. So again, you're pushing your elbows down into your thighs as you breathe, and that keeps your abs contracting as well as some of the shoulder blade muscles, and it also helps give you a nice stretch in your back. So that is one great option of an exercise you can do on a plane sitting down without being able to get up and move around much. Be sure to check out the other parts for additional exercises and ideas to do while on a plane. Thanks, my flight is up. Hey guys, Christy Amundsen with Impact Physical Medicine here. I'm back in my simulated plane in my nice middle seat, staring at the wall just for you to simulate some things you can do on a plane when you're stuck in a sitting position for a very long time. So check out part 1 and subsequent parts of this video for additional ideas. All right, exercise number 2 is you would use I could take off my sweater and roll it up, or a sweatshirt or a t-shirt or a blanket or anything that you have. You could roll it up like this. I don't know if airlines still carry blankets. I think some do. You could ask for one of those. If you don't have something like this that could be about this size or so, you could deflate just use one of those small beach balls that are about this size. You can get them at like the dollar store. Deflate it, put it in your bag. It won't add any weight or take up much space, but then you would blow it up. Just don't blow it all the way up. Make it still a little bit squishy. So you would put that between your knees or thighs, and you're gonna hold it. You could just squeeze this, hold it for a few seconds and relax. But what I really like to do is I like to do a hip shifting exercise. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to kind of round my back and push my lower back into my seat, so that kind of engages my abs. And then as I push my back into the seat, I'm going to shift one thigh or one hip back a little bit. And depending on how stiff you are, you may go more or less than what I'm doing right now. But when you pull it back, your knees should still point straight ahead. So you don't want to go side to side. That would probably, bug your neighbors. So you just want, it's like you're kind of scissoring back and forth with your knees pointing straight ahead. So it's sort of like I'm hanging onto my towel roll or ball, and I'm kind of trying to roll the ball back or the towel roll back on one side. So again, I'm gonna push my back into the seat. I'm gonna shift back with one, and then I'm gonna, as I hold it back, I'm gonna squeeze this towel roll. And I should feel it in my inner thigh, maybe a little bit in my glute, and then a little bit in my abs from pushing into the chair. So I'll hold it for a couple seconds, and then I would switch to the other side. So again, push my back in, shift back on that side, squeeze in, hold a couple breaths or a couple seconds. So you go back and forth. You could do this as you read each page, you switch back and forth. I really like this because it simulates the same kind of movement and muscles that you would use when you're walking. So it's sort of like walking sitting down. One thing you want to be careful with when it comes to this exercise is making sure that when I pull my knee back, my back is still pushing into the chair. So if it's bothering your back to do this, it usually is because you're arching your back as you pull your knee back. And if you do that, it does put some pressure on your back. So making sure that as you shift, you're still pushing your back into the seat. So it's sort of like rounding your back a little bit, as opposed to arching it like this. That helps keep the pressure off of your back. Then, as a bonus, my absolute favorite is combining the first exercise from the first video and this exercise into one exercise. You'll squeeze the roll, push your back in, shift back with one knee, hold it, squeeze into the roll, and then I'm going to take that side hand and push it down into my thigh. So I'm doing one side, hold it, and then I would do the other side. Push my back in, shift back, squeeze my knee into the roll. This forearm goes on this side. And again, this kind of even annies up. It's more muscles working together, helps to increase the blood flow, and also helps to simulate weight shift side to side, hip shift side to side, and the same muscles that you would use when you walk. So it's a great activity to do when you actually can't walk, but you want to keep those muscles active enough that they don't get stiff. All right, I guess my flight is over. I hope this was helpful as just another idea of what you can do on a plane when you're stuck in a sitting position for a long time. Check out part 1 and part 3 of this video for additional ideas. Thanks for watching. Woo! We made it to part 3 of my simulated plane. I'm in the middle seat, and I'm gonna show you another exercise. If you haven't seen them, I did a part 1 and part 2 with 2 other exercises you can do while stuck in a sitting position on a plane. So here we are again, and here's another option for you. When you're sitting, you can do what we call ankle pumps. So you're going to push your toes down, lift your heels, and you're gonna hold it for a couple seconds, really push hard and squeeze your calf muscles, and then you're going to do the opposite, push your heels down, pull up your toes hard. This can really help if you're someone who has swelling in your legs after sitting for a long period of time. So in this seated position, again, all I'm going is back and forth. You do want to hold the contraction for at least a couple seconds, so you don't want to just go back and forth like this, because that's just kind of quivering the muscle. What we want to do is get a full contraction, hold it for a couple seconds, and then relax, and then get a full contraction of the opposite muscle. That helps pump some of the swelling back up, and also because you're working the muscle, the muscle is going to start to demand more oxygen and blood flow, and therefore keep it kind of pliable and not so stiff. So this is something that's actually really easy to do, and you could do this for the entirety of your flight if you really wanted to. All right, I think that sums it up. Thanks for watching this series. I hope you learned something and this was somewhat helpful. I'm gonna get out of these cramped quarters, but I hope to see you again soon. Take care.